Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the show. This is the Eccentric podcast with your host, George Hernandez. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Today, we're going to do a deep dive in a full detail, full in-depth way to get into the best physical shape that you possibly can. So, a little bit of a preface. I am a certified personal trainer. I've been training for 4 years consistently now. Well, actually, in October, I will be hitting 4 years consistently, and it's been a pleasurable experience. I was originally, before I started, was 225 pounds, and then I dropped down to 167 pounds, 4% body fat, which honestly changed the trajectory of my life. It changed the way I perceive myself, the way I perceive the world, my mood. I became a much more positive individual, and I just really translate that to physical exercise and getting into better shape. Just changed everything about me. Honestly, I've built some programs for my managers, friends, and colleagues, and have helped people obtain some real results. I've studied and listened to all the best advice online, consisting of books, courses, and other programs that I've been involved in, and have dove deep enough to understand how the body and the brain responds to certain habits, diet, and training. So today I'm just pretty much breaking down everything that I know, all of the lessons that I've learned, all of the mistakes that I've made, and everything that has actually worked out in my benefit. So let's get into it. So first off, it's not you that's bad. I specifically had this mentality that I was the one that was in the wrong, that I was this bad individual that just couldn't possibly make any type of change that I wanted to make. So if you're currently in a position right now where you're not in the shape that you desire to be in, you're not in the circumstances, or you don't have the habits that you want, or you're not receiving the type of outcomes that you desire, it's not a matter that you yourself are bad. It's all dependent on the actions that you're taking. So see it this way, as a conveyor that is on a line and it just continues going out straight. If a conveyor were to start on this side, if the people that are watching, I'm starting my hand motion from one side and just going straight to the next side. If you start a conveyor on this line and it just goes that way, it's eventually going to reach a specific outcome that is on the opposing side. So that's where your habits are. You're doing the same thing. You're going in a straight line based on your current circumstances and on your current habits that you're used to. Habits, in a nutshell, are pretty much these recurring, these things that we do on a regular basis to get rid of the problems in our life. And we've mastered them in a sense because they are so automatic to us. So pretty much what we're wanting to do is we want to change the direction of that conveyor line. We need to understand what are the habits that we partake in each day and each day. So don't accept it as though you are lazy, unwilling, unable, or bad. Just accept the fact that you're in a period you no longer want to be in. However, what's amazing about the human condition is that we can change, we can adapt, and with enough effort and focus, you are able to transform. So first off, have the conversation with yourself that you are dissatisfied with the position that you're in right now. Then accept responsibility and take accountability for the actions that you took in the past, because those are the ones that have led you to this current position right now where you're dissatisfied. Okay. Now, number 2, identity change. This is one that I've been talking about a lot recently, and we need to understand who it is that we want to become. If we understand and are self-aware and reflective of the fact that we are not in a position that we want to be in and we want to become different, we want to change, that's a good thing to have. That's a good understanding. That's very self-aware of you to have that notion and that understanding about yourself. Now, the thing that we need to do is we need to create this vision, create this identity in whom we want to become, whether that's the person that's in the best physical shape that we want to be in. So first off, list down each and every single habit that you partake in from the morning of to the same night right before bed. List each and every single habit, each action, everything that you do on a regular basis, and give it a time. So if you wake up at 7 a.m. and you immediately scroll your phone at 7:02, put that down. And you're going to start ranking the behaviors. So if you wake up at 7:02, scroll your phone, have a breakfast that's just cereal, or you skip breakfast, or whatever it is, start ranking those habits with a positive sign, a negative sign, or an equal sign. Once you list those, you need to be very descriptive of the things that you do and exact with each action that you take. So that way you're able to come from an objective manner, because most of the time we do certain things, we have these automatic habits that I mentioned before that pretty much solve the problems and the issues that we deal with on a regular basis. That's the point of habits. But once we now see it from an objective standpoint, as opposed to just doing the thing, now we can actually see physically what we do on paper. We can then start to see the troubleshoots. And once we see the troubleshoots, we can then start to change those troubleshoots and make them more green flags as opposed to these red flags that we have. And now we're coming from it at a very self-reflective, self-aware, but also very objective. We want to be as objective with ourselves as we possibly can. We can't be lying to ourselves, because now we're taking accountability and responsibility for our lives moving forward, and we want to build better habits that accumulate the type of growth we want to see in ourselves. Okay. So now once you're done listing all the behaviors, look at it and ask yourself, if you continue with these behaviors that you partake in, can they lead you to the place that you desire? Well, probably not, right? So now, like I mentioned before, it's up to us to take accountability and responsibility, because we don't want to be in this exact same position. So we need to fully understand that these habits right now, the ones that we have, every single one that we've listed below, they are leading us to this outcome where we're dissatisfied. So now we need to change them. Next, honestly, we talked a little bit about understanding your identity, who it is that you want to become, the habits that you need to change. But now it's why. Why is it specifically that you want to get into this peak physical shape? What's the reasoning behind it? We don't care for the what or the how, but the why is what helps us move mountains. That's why. So you need a specific, strong emotional response when it comes to the idea at which you want to get into this peak physical shape. What is the reasoning behind it? Because if you're going to say the what and the how, you're not going to follow through to the point where you're going to see results. So I listed a couple things below. Do you want to be the guy who's respected by his peers because he respects himself enough to work out each day? Do you want to be able to play outside with your kids and not get tired physically, but also being able to exemplify a healthy, strong, and disciplined father figure for them? Do you want to have a stronger sense of self-worth, because when you build a body you're proud of, nobody can take that away from you? These are the things that you need to start thinking to yourself. Start writing them down onto a piece of paper. Why do you physically want to become? Why do you want to get into peak physical shape? What is the reasoning behind it? And if honestly your best reason is to get aesthetics, to get girls, stop chasing this shit, because it's not for you. People that have this, honestly, if I'm being honest too, never stop chasing. Forget what I said. Don't stop chasing the physical. If that's literally what you want to do, I change my mind. If that's literally what the reasoning for it is, I would prefer you pushing for it in an immoral standpoint and obtain the thing that you want to do, and be heavily disappointed at the fact that you won't get girls once you get into peak physical shape. It's literally how it goes. I would prefer that for you, as opposed to not getting into physical exercise because you have this immoral, hedonistic type of goal. Because down the line, if you consistently pursue this thing, you'll kind of figure out that it's not the way to do it, right? So if your heavy objective is to get girls, if your heavy objective is to, I don't know, get more looks, get more respect, or not even just that, but doing it from an immoral standpoint, I would prefer you to do it for that reasoning and let that be your motivating factor. So therefore, you can go onto the path to be able to get into the peak physical shape, get more self-aware, have more stronger sense of self-esteem. I would prefer that for you as opposed to the latter. So go ahead, make that your reasoning why. Make that, do it, right? Because honestly, I'm thinking about it now. I didn't have a strong why. My why was to get into shredded physique abs for a short film that I was making, but also to get over my ex-girlfriend and to get that revenge, even though there was no reason for doing it. So do what you want, right? Find a strong emotional sense, find a strong emotional connection with this thing that you want, and allow it to be something that is hard enough to get, but isn't super easy, right? We want to be in that Goldilocks zone. So understand your current choices, rank them, be aware of them, understand your why. Then you identify who you want to become using your why as a map. So if you want to be healthy and in shape father who's exemplifying a healthy, strong, and disciplined man for your kids, what would those behaviors that version of you would take in order to become that? So would that father eat cinnamon buns early in the morning if he wants to be healthy? No. Would that father want to get home, sit down, have a beer after work if he wants to be in shape? No. Would that father refuse to go outside with the kids because he's too tired because of work? No. You have to be the change that you want to see in yourself. You have to be that today, so that way there comes a period of time over a long course of actions, small steps each and every single day, you will become that person who is capable of doing those things. But you have to be the change that you want to see in yourself today, not tomorrow. Okay, so environment. Honestly, I'm breaking down like everything that literally needs to change, as opposed to thinking that you just need to start working out and that working out is going to get rid of all your negative habits because it's a positive habit. It's not. It's literally a full identity change. Now your environment. You need to start looking at your environment. Does your environment cause you to feel tempted to consume certain beverages or certain foods? If so, that's likely not the environment that you want to be around, because you have a goal of losing weight. You have a goal of getting into the best physical shape that you possibly can. So you shouldn't be around those types of things, because it's easier to avoid temptation as opposed to resisting temptation. When it's right in your vicinity, it's very easy to say, no, I'm not going to do it, and be eating it 5 minutes later. But if it's not in the area, it is so much easier to not think about it because there's nothing you're looking at. So environment is a very crucial part of this process. One thing that you can do, if you do have people that are eating a lot of junk food and have a lot of certain consumptions that aren't fueling your progress towards the weight loss goals that you want, you can start outweighing their food with your food. So instead of doubling down and getting more Lay's chips that they already have, start getting other foods that are healthy. That way you can choose those as opposed to the others, because when you do inevitably want to snack on something and there's two options, you're going to want to choose the option that is much more healthier, that fuels your progress, as opposed to the only one that is there, which would be the Lay's, and you just eat the Lay's, right? So we need to start framing our environment much more differently. So we want to outweigh our current environment with what we desire to see in ourselves. So fridge, there's alcohol, there's sodas, there's mixed drinks, there's beverages, there's juices, etc., etc. You can start outweighing with your options. So start doing no alcohol, start filling it up with just water, start getting sugar-free drinks, start getting snacks like Greek yogurt, baby carrots, beef jerky, all of these things that pretty much fuel your progress. So that way, when you do want to partake in a snack, you choose something that's actually going to help you rather than break you down. So pretty much foster an entire new environment that is going to allow you to make progress towards your goals, but also identifying the type of environment that your future self, the one who's in shape, has. So what does that environment look like for that person down the line? And how can I embody that? Not just my actions, not just my goals, but my environment too. Okay, so that's halfway through, right? That is the battle, guys. This is literally how a lot of people fail most of the time, is that they don't understand this portion of the entire weight loss protocol. It is not just physical exercise. It's not just dieting. It's not just resisting temptation and being disciplined and staying consistent. It's also changing your environment. It's also understanding the current behaviors that are not working in your favor. It's also identifying the type of person that you want to be and making a plan and a goal towards reaching it. It is so much larger than just exercise and weight loss. Okay, so if you have this locked down, you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to start losing this weight. Okay, now, what is weight loss? I think a lot of people truly don't understand weight loss, because I still have people that will tell me, I just can't lose weight. Oh, it's my family, it's my genes. You are not some scientific breakthrough, ladies and gentlemen. The only way you can lose weight, and this is a fixed state inside of us, we are all capable of losing weight. You just need to consume far less than you burn. Okay? So, what really is weight loss if I were to identify it? Our bodies require a constant supply of energy to stay alive. Meaningful weight loss requires energy expenditure to exceed energy intake. What does that mean? So you pretty much eat fewer calories than you burn. We, as individuals, every single day burn calories. We have something called the basal metabolic rate, which means if I were to stay around, do nothing, be sedentary, literally lay in bed all day, I would still burn anywhere between, I don't know, 900 to 1600 calories, depending on my age, my weight, how much muscle mass I have on my body, etc., etc., how much of my brain I'm using. You burn calories every single day. Now that we have that regular lever, that thing that is always going to be helping us out, we can apply something new to be able to pretty much combine that together for more potential burning or expending energy or burning calories, right? And that's exercise. Exercise is probably not the most important thing, but it's going to fuel your progress furthermore and make it much easier and much more faster as opposed to not exercising. Now, why do we exercise? Me personally, exercising was just the best activity and the best use of my time based on the emotions that I felt. I'm a very sensitive person, or at least I was. Furthermore, back then, 4 years ago, I was just a very sensitive kid, and I had these very strong emotions inside of my heart, and there was never a place to use them, refine them, or let them be expressed in any way. So whenever I felt rage, I just sat in my room feeling rage. Whenever I was depressed and lonely, I just sat in my room feeling depressed and lonely, listening to music. But when I found the gym, when I went to the gym and I felt rage, it felt like the only acceptable way to use rage in my favor as opposed to going and doing something stupid. And when I found that out, the emotions began to dampen a little bit because I became much more gentle. I felt less lonely, and I felt happier as a result because I was refining and turning something quote unquote negative, but is actually just something inside of us at all these times, into something much more positive. And yeah, exercise to me has become less about the physical aesthetics and more for the mental benefits. And if you kind of come at it with that mind frame, there is a understanding that you can do this every single day, because it's not about the progress that you see. It's not about the big biceps. It's about what happens to you as a result of doing it, and how much better you feel, how much lighter you feel as a result of finishing a workout. Exercise, honestly, comes down to a want. What is it that you want to specifically do? And me personally, I went immediately to weightlifting because it was something I knew because I had lifted weights in high school for 4 years. Then I stopped for 2 years. And 2, based on the idea, based on the person that I wanted to be, with the body composition and the shape that I wanted to be in, that's why I decided to do weightlifting. So figure out specifically, what is this identity, what does this person look like too? What is it? Somebody who's just fit and goes on runs every other week? Is it somebody who lifts heavy weights and is like a power lifter or a weightlifter or a bodybuilder, or just toned and in good shape? Is it somebody who's lean? Is it somebody who's a bit bigger? Like, understand the type of body and physique that you want to be in, and then start working your way towards it. And then also start figuring out what are the actions that you need to take in order to reach that outcome. So for me specifically, exercise varies for different people. People exercise, exercise varies for everybody else. Some people don't even have to exercise, and it's not because they lose weight faster. It's not because of their metabolism, but it's because of what they consume, right? We're going to get into diet and what you eat right after this, but because honestly, diet is more important, but I just like talking about exercise. So my general advice. So this is the kind of understanding that I've had with the brain recently is that, let's see if I remember. I'm pretty sure. So when it comes to your brain is a, what is it called? Not a deliberate, not a pattern. Well, it does recognize patterns, but there's a word for it. What's that word? Predict. Your brain is a predicting machine, right? So it's whenever there's a series of actions, a plan that you make specifically, your brain is predicting either future failure or future success. And if it predicts future failure, then you are not going to get the type of dopaminergic response, the serotonin, or the energy to be able to use that in order to reach that outcome. So for people that have these 90-day challenges to work out 2 times a day and eat nothing but healthy food, they typically, because they've never done it before, fail because their brain is predicting future failure because the actions that they've taken in the past, the circumstances that they've been involved in, and maybe the times that they've tried in the past too have all been failures. And they recognize that their current patterns, their current habits aren't going to be fueling them towards where they inevitably want to go. So your brain will either predict future failure or future success. So if it predicts failure, you're not going to have the energy. But if it's too easy, your brain is going to predict future success, which you're probably thinking to yourself, good, amazing, George. Yeah, that's exactly what we want. We want to succeed doing this. But if it's too easy, you're going to be disengaged and bored and you're not going to pursue it. So we need to find a Goldilocks zone. We need to find something right in the middle. Something that isn't super challenging to the point that it's going to overwhelm us in doing it one time, but also not super easy to the point where it just feels boring accomplishing it. We want to feel some form of satisfaction and gratification in doing it. So that's where the Goldilocks zone comes in, and that's where, when it comes to your exercise, figure out the actions that you've taken in the past. If you've gone to the gym 2 times a week, that was the most times you've gone in one single week. Don't aim for 6 times a week just because the person who's in the physical shape that you want to be in goes in 6 times a week. Instead of going for 6, go for 3 because it's just one more, right? You've only done 2 in the past, but you can just do one more. So not only that, what else? Oh, I did write some 2. And if you've never meal prepped before, don't go and make all your foods for one a week. Just buy microwavable foods so that way you can take those to work. Okay, like you need to start small. You need to start in a period with where you're at. Stop trying to identify what bodybuilders and what weightlifters are doing certain things that you want to do because you've never been in that position yourself. So you're just going to fail doing it. So you need to start with where you're at. If you've never gone to the gym 6 times a week and the most you've gone is 2 times a week, what makes you think you're going to go 6 times a week? What makes you think that? Just because somebody on an Instagram story told you to do this doesn't mean you're in the position to do that. Okay. Now, I will say, what exercises do we do, right? We're going to pretty much talked about that. That's good. So, when it comes to physical exercise, right? I already told you, try to find a manageable system to which you're able to go to the gym consecutively and consistently. But what do we do? To the people that are listening to this, most of you just want to get really toned and in shape and shredded and get, nice physique. So typically the people that I'm talking to, and 99% of the people that I talk to on a regular basis, just want to get into that shape too. So I'm talking to you, all right? You want to lift weights. You don't want to go for runs unless that's something that you identify yourself and who you want to be. Then that's fine. I'm doing that too. I run, I gym, and I box. So that's great. However, most of the people just want to get lean. So to the people that want to get lean, lift weights and diet. That's literally it. Okay. Lift weights is very interesting because if you lift weights, there's something called EPOC, which is excessive what is it called? Excessive exercise oxygen consumption. which means that for 48 hours, your body, after lifting weights, is metabolically active, which means that your body is trying to repair tissue, heal you, and restore all of the glycogen that you just burned with physical exercise and lifting weights. So what that means is, remember that thing I was talking about earlier, your basal metabolic rate, that starts to shoot itself up because your body's more active and more engaged, right? It's actually working for you, as opposed to when you run, it's trying to preserve you and save you, okay? So when it comes to lifting weights, it's actually trying to build you up. So that's what we want. We want our bodies to be more metabolically active, so that way we can start lifting but also consuming protein, because protein is going to be able to repair all of the tissues that we had just pretty much cooked. Okay, so yeah, I have it here. So metabolically changes everything when you lift, especially if it's for your first time. Your body's hyper responsive to the signal it receives. You just lifted something, your body goes, that's heavy, let's make a tissue so that way we can lift that thing the next time in an easier fashion. Therefore, muscle tissue is built from that signal. In the process, your body's working heavily for a 48-hour window called excessive post-exercise oxygen consumption, which is a fancy term for saying your body's burning extra calories by repairing tissue, repairing muscle, replenishing energy stores, and increasing protein synthesis. Your body literally works for you, and lifting is the only thing that does that. Not only that, when it comes to lifting, pretty much I'm giving you the whys on why you should be lifting. Number 2 would be stronger bones and injury resistance. I remember I had such shitty knees after high school because of football, and I thought it was just something I was ridded by. Once I started doing heavy ass barbell squats, everything changed. My muscles, my bones, my knees got so much stronger. Number 3, brain and mental health benefits. Increased blood flow and oxygen to your brain, supports memory and cognitive function, reduces risk of depression and anxiety. Lifting is shown to boost mood as much as cardio, builds resilience and discipline, direct link between physical strength and mental confidence. And then a whole body composition. Yeah, I didn't even talk about that. So fat loss and fat gain. So if you are a newbie, if you're just starting in the gym, you have a period of time where you're able to build muscle while also losing weight at the same time, because your body is so new. It's like this hyper responsive signal to your body saying, what the fuck is this? We've never done this before. So we need to work in overdrive to be able to repair this tissue, because this is something new that's happened to George. Like, what is going on with this body right now? So you have the best benefits and the best possibilities to be able to lose weight, burn fat, and build muscle at the same time, which is the process on how you lean yourself out. If you're consuming good amounts and adequate amounts of protein, if you are taking care of yourself, if you are sleeping 8 hours, if you're walking 10,000 steps, things of that nature, you're going to get extremely lean and in really great shape. So yeah, you can build muscle tissues, metabolically active, increases resting calorie burn, improves nutrient partitioning, etc., etc. So now, when it comes to the exercises that you partake in, I'm gonna cut the camera real quick. Hello, camera is back. So now, my advice always is lift 1 to 3 times out of the week. To some people, it's actually best to start if you have some recognition and some previous days where you did lift, maybe in high school. I would actually recommend compound exercises, because some compounds can be tough, especially for people that have never lifted. I wouldn't necessarily recommend compound exercises for somebody who's just now starting, or especially dependent on somebody's age and how their joints work and how they function, etc., etc. So if you are some 20-year-old who's able to move and has good knee joints and is literally made of magic and rubber, start with compound exercises, bro. Now, for somebody who's maybe in their 30s, 35s, I wouldn't actually say go with compound exercises like deadlifts or with barbell squats, just because those are extremely taxing, and especially for somebody who's older, it's a little bit harder for them to be able to recover. So I would actually go with something like machines or dumbbells, or even maybe some body weight stuff. I've been doing a lot of push-ups and body lunges, and it's just fantastic, especially with a good deep range of motion and good form and good tempo, and doing it right as opposed to just doing it heavy. That's super important. So yeah, I would recommend to the people that are watching, just vary it based on you. And remember, you need to be very self-reflective throughout this process. So understand what works best for you. Don't just listen to what I'm saying. Actually question the things that I'm saying. Use it, refine it, change it so that way it suits you, and then work upon it. All right, I'm gonna take a sip of water. All right, so my advice to you would be lifting 1 to 3 times out of the week. It would be anywhere between a leg day, which would compose of a squat variation of some form. It could be a Smith machine squat, which is something that I've been doing, barbell squat, pendulum squat, hack squat, and leg press I'll allow. Then you'll move into something that's more so your hamstring focused, such as SLDLs, RDLs, lying hamstring curls, or seated leg curl. You could do those in any variation. Also, the reps that you will be doing is dependent on the muscle that you're partaking in, and specifically which one you want to grow. Now, honestly, I'm not going to talk about all that because you're not necessarily somebody that wants to grow. You're just somebody who wants to get into good shape. So I would start first with something that is much more working of the multiple muscle groups. So squat always first. You want to get that out of the way because it's everything. You train your quads, you train your hamstrings, you train your glutes, you train your calves, etc., etc. So you want to start with that one first, and you want to do those anywhere between a 6 to 30 threshold, 6 to 30 reps. Okay. And then you want to start. That's kind of getting too technical. So I'm just gonna say, yeah, anywhere between the 6 to 30 rep range. If you want to build a bit more muscle, start going in the 4 to 8 rep range. But if you really just want to add on new muscle, or yeah, if you want to build more strength, go between the 1 to 6 rep range. And if you want to build more strength, or excuse me, if you want to build more muscle, go anywhere from 6 to 30 reps. Okay. But when it starts with your compound exercise, go from anywhere between 1 to 10 reps. Okay. Because that's where you're most charged, that's where you're most fueled. So you want to take advantage of the energy that you have at your current disposal. And then from then on, just go 60 to 30 reps. Okay. And then you would go with a hamstring. You could do a glute variation of Bulgarian split squats. And then you want to do calf raises. Don't skip on your calves. And then you could do something like a back exercise. So it would be if you're doing one a day, do a full body workout of all the exercises that you can do, maybe 8 total sets. If you're doing 2 times out of the week, do a upper body and a lower body. If you're doing 3 times out of the week, do a chest, a back, and a leg. And then, but not in that order. You want to do chest, shoulders, and triceps. With back, you want to do back and biceps. And then with legs, you want to do full legs, right? So pretty much everything that I just mentioned in the past. Okay, so that's it, right? We want to find ourselves in the Goldilocks zone, figure out what works best for you, and then be able to fine tune that so that way you're able to make that shit happen. Okay, we want to find that Goldilocks zone. We want to figure out, okay, what's just enough for me to feel satisfied in doing it, but also not too easy. So if that's 1 time out of the week, cool, try that. Now, we're going to have to talk about diet, because diet is the most important part. I wouldn't be in the shape that I'm in if it wasn't for all the dieting that I did and all the regular consumption of food that I did. This is the most important part, and this is where most people fail, because they think that once I start exercising, all of the damage is going to go away. But it takes a long period of time. Not only that, food is very, very deceiving, because a little thing of peanut butter could have like 190 calories, which is honestly insane. But at the same time, because most people guesstimate their calories, most people don't acknowledge the fact that they're eating more than they actually are, but portray it as though they're eating less. That's why people tend to be confused on why they can't lose weight, because it's just guesstimating calories. So that is the issue, right? I would recommend counting calories. There's a reason to that. One, I did it. But two, I would actually say do it for about 2 weeks. Don't do it longer than 2 weeks. Because this is where you truly start to identify and figure out what you're actually consuming and what calories really look like. Because I'm telling you, man, I used to eat a whole bag of family-sized hot Cheetos. And when I figured out just how many calories was in a serving of hot Cheetos, I freaked out because holy shit, how was I eating this much without my understanding, right? It pretty much puts a lens, a highlight, a vision on all of your ignorance of the past and the actions that you took in the past. And once you figure out and identify what you used to do compared to what you do now, it'll be like, okay, I'm never doing that ever again. Okay. So that's why I would say count calories, just because of that, pretty much that understanding and that wisdom that you obtain from counting the calories in and of itself. So then once you count the calories, cool, now you have an understanding of how food works. You're no longer guesstimating calories. So what specifically should I do after that? So this is the whole thing. Let me take one more sip of water. When it comes to diet, man, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. Eat lean meats. Eat whole, unprocessed foods, carbs such as potatoes, broccoli. And I understand there's so much information online where they're telling you you shouldn't eat bread. Bread's making you fat. You shouldn't eat potatoes. Potatoes are killing you. You shouldn't drink creatine because it's making you bald. Like, fucking, I hate the fitness industry. And that's why I got myself out of it. Because it's just so deceiving. There's so much deception. There's so much fake news. There's so much of that. But I'm telling you, food in and of itself is not some be all, do all, kill all, burn all. You know, people will think, oh, I drink ginger and that helps me lose fat. No, it's because you're in a calorie deficit, which is why you lost the fat. I don't think many people have that full understanding and that acknowledgement that weight loss is just, in a way, counting calories. It's burning more than you consume. So there's a number degree to it, and that's why it's important to count calories from the beginning, because you have an understanding of how many calories something is and how much calories I should be consuming, so that way I can lose weight. But then, therefore, I'm able to understand how much I used to consume, and I'm now able to understand how much I should consume, so that way I can lead myself to my goals. Sorry if this is all over the place. So, when it comes to your diet in and of itself, it's eating adequate amounts of protein. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient that you possibly can have. So fish, chicken thighs, skinless, ground beef, all of these things are very, very essential for you to have, especially first thing in the morning, because a protein-laden breakfast, anywhere between 40 to 60 grams, is going to make you feel so full that you won't even want to eat during lunch. Not only that, the benefits of consuming protein just balances out your blood sugar levels throughout the day, so that way you're much more sharp, cognizant, less brain foggy. It is just a maximizer of potential, a maximizer of building muscle. I mean, it's just the best thing that you can possibly do for yourself. So consume adequate amounts of protein. Eat foods containing high amounts of protein, which are lean, anywhere within, just chicken breasts or ground beef or ground turkey or tilapia or certain amounts of fish. Consume protein. Make that your number one priority to have every single day and not skimp on it. Not only that, but if you're lifting 1 to 3 times a week, protein is going to help you build muscle. So you need to consume more and more and more of it. I would recommend 1 pound of protein, 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're 170 pounds, eat 170 grams of protein. If you are, say, 290 pounds and you want to be 190 pounds, start consuming 190 grams of protein. Okay, so adequate amounts of protein. You already understand that. You already understand why it's important. You want to build muscle, but you also want to stay full, so you don't overeat throughout the day and your blood sugar levels are regular and balanced. And you don't feel any sort of urges or temptations or cravings throughout your day. Eat regular carbs, whole unprocessed carbs such as oatmeal or fruit. I think it's actually easier if I just tell you what I've been eating, because I could just go on about this for days, but this is my stack of food: ground beef, chicken, fruit, potatoes, eggs. That's it. Ground beef, chicken, potatoes, eggs, and fruit. Oh, and Greek yogurt. That's it. I guess you could count a protein shake too. Those are my 7 things that I consume on a regular basis. That's literally it. And if you make it simple, it'll be easier for you to not only grocery shop, but it'll make it easier because you already have an understanding of what you're consuming on a regular basis. And if you track those calories throughout the day, there's no need to worry about whether or not you'll lose weight, because, well, if I eat these 3 meals, it'll be X amount of calories. If I eat these 3 meals and I stick to these 3 meals, I can guarantee that I'm losing weight. And if I exercise on top of this, it'll make it even faster. But if I don't exercise, I'm still losing weight because I'm in a calorie deficit. So all I need to do now is pretty much just watch what else I'm consuming, so that way I don't sabotage my progress as a result. So, yeah, if you're lifting, eating adequate amounts of protein, burning more than you're consuming, building muscle, and showing up to become the person you aspire to be, you're going to build a seriously great physique. But it all takes patience, my friend. Serious patience. Yeah. This shit took me I lost 63 pounds in 7 months. But that's because I just went crazy. At first, I started going 2 to 3 times out of the week. Then I started going 4 times. Then I started going 5 times. And then I lost it and started going 6 times out of the week. Which, honestly, was some of the best times of my life. Because the better you start getting at something, the more weights you're starting to lift, the more you show up, the happier you get, the more confidence you obtain. You want to start showing up to these things. So give yourself that ability to be able to show up to that thing, whether it's 1 time, 2 times, 3 times out of the week. Give yourself that time to show up and allow yourself the ability to recognize your improvement on that activity as well. Because the more you improve upon something, the more passion you obtain from doing that thing. And you'll want to do it again. You'll want to do it again. You'll want to do it again. Remember, each action that you take is a vote for the person that you wish to become. If your body and mind aren't in unison, change will never occur. Your mind and your body have to be in unison in order to make happen the change that you want to see in yourself. Understand that this whole thing, this whole weight loss thing, this isn't some challenge. This isn't some goal that you want. This is the person that you want to become and the lifestyle change that comes as a result of doing it. Most people will have these goals for weight loss, whether it's 30 pounds, 60 pounds in 90 days or 60 days or 30 days. And they will take it to the extreme to depleting themselves of certain resources like water or food. They won't eat for 5 days. They won't drink water. They'll only drink water, blah, blah, blah. And they'll see the results that they want after the 30 days, but then they'll just regain the weight after another 2 months because, well, now it's time to enjoy myself. I deserve the reward. I deserve the treat. I deserve the food because, I worked hard. So let me just get rid of my progress that I just made. It's fucking stupid. It's so dumb. So understand that you don't want to be that type of person that creates and builds artificial progress. You want somebody that wants real, life-changing, maintainable progress. The person that pursues artificial progress regains regains the weight that they just lost. The person that understands that it takes a long time and practices the virtue of patience will ultimately lead a better life, because they understand that it takes a long time to accrue the type of results that they want. Not only that, but once they obtain those results after a long period of time, they're able to maintain them because they were able to build the habits, they were able to build the skills and the lifestyle to be able to keep them. And it's now a part of who they are, so it's easier for them to show up as opposed to them not showing up. Don't pursue artificial progress. Try to become the person that is capable of having the type of lifestyle and the desire and the discipline and the mix of decisions that you want to see in yourself. Don't just chase some unworthy goal that you're going to lose in 30 days. So, I really hope this helped. I hope this helped. Honestly, guys, I'm not a fan of doing this anymore. I'm not a fan of not the podcast. I don't like talking about the weight stuff. I figured that out very, very easily. I just don't think I want to trap myself into a box of weight loss. I think I'm more than just a fitness guy. And I love fitness. Don't get me wrong. It's still like a great passion of mine. But I don't love it in the sense of making this all I talk about. I want to talk about the things that I'm genuinely curious about. And honestly, this is one I've been just having on my chest and having on my heart for a long time. And I've done it in the past, but I really wanted to do it this time around. So I did a podcast around it, and I hope you guys obtain something. It's just unraveling all of the experiences and the lessons and the changes that you've made in yourself and all the failures that you've made yourself, and hoping that somebody else listens to it and recognizes themselves in it, but also allowing themselves to make that type of change based on what I said. So, yeah. You probably won't see much of me talking about weight loss again or about the gym or whatever it is. Maybe I'll talk about like science and what's happening there, but I'm just honestly talking about what I want to talk about. And I noticed that when I was talking about it, I did one podcast too where I was like just barely struggling to get through it. This one felt better, but yeah, I think this is the last time you'll hear me talk about weight loss for a long period of time. So if you guys enjoyed this one, please feel free to share to anybody else who's dealing with this type of problem themselves or is on the path themselves. It would be very appreciative to not just them, but also to the channel as well. So if you guys enjoyed, I love you. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great one.